Kolani, we've seen a lot of evidence that inflation is going up. Salaries are going down.
Yeah, and there's a lot of evidence that's coming through, and the skyrocketing inflation rates and the recent increases in the interest rates are taking a toll on the average salaried worker in South Africa. This is according to the latest monthly BankservAfrica Take-home Pay Index, which also says the rise in the cost of living is also putting the purchasing power of South Africans under immense pressure. Elize Kruger is an independent economist and joins us now to dissect the latest data from BankservAfrica. Elize, thank you very much for joining us. According to this latest data, the average nominal salary has been moderating notably from 15,570 rands in February this year to 14,600 rands in June 2022. What is largely to blame for this lower salaries that we are seeing right now?
Lani, there's really two factors I wanted to point out. On the one side, I think it is really the dismal economic environment in which companies must operate at the moment. If we think about all the headwinds that have been hitting this economy, from load shedding to higher inflation, rising interest rates, and we've seen our rand weakened now, we've got fairly low confidence levels. So overall, companies are struggling to be profitable and therefore struggle to offer attractive wage increases to workers. So that's the one side. I think it's definitely a signal of how difficult it's out there for companies to operate. But on the other hand, the Bankserv data is calculated by taking the total value of all the take-home salaries paid into bank accounts of South Africans divided by the number of salary payments. And there we've seen actually that the number of payments have increased quite notably in the past 3 months. So that indicates to us that there's been job creation in the economy in Q2, but that the average salaries or the level of salaries of the new job opportunities have been lower. Therefore, the average has been under pressure, and we saw declines in the past couple of months on the average take-home pay. So that could also be an indication that the job creation that we are seeing is more on the lower levels of salary brackets, maybe temporary and weekly workers and that type of category.
There is also something that is quite interesting, and you've just touched on employment. This 7.8% year-on-year drop in real salaries that were recorded, but the data also signals some more job creation in the second quarter. Explain that, because on the one hand, salaries are not doing so well, but on the other, the data shows that the second quarter, there may have been more jobs created.
Yes, so on the job creation front, I do believe that it is also linked to the recovery in the economy post-COVID. So we still had COVID restrictions in place in terms of gatherings and that type of thing up until the end of April, and then we had further relaxation towards the end of June. So I think we've seen that some of the sectors that have been constrained are starting to employ more people. But what we see in terms of the average nominal wage is that it is indeed lower in the past 2 months. So it indicates that whoever's been added to the pool of workers received quite a low salary. So the average has been dropping. But in terms of the 7.8% drop you mentioned in the real wage, that has a lot to do with how our inflation rate has behaved over the past couple of months. So nominal wages gets deflated by inflation to give you an idea of the real purchasing power of your money. And if you look at how consumer inflation has increased quite hefty in the last month, up to a 7.4%, which, as we know, is a 13-year high for South African consumer price inflation, it just indicates how much, erosion is taking place in terms of the available salary. So already in nominal terms, say it's just flat. If you then take into consideration your inflation rate, then you're actually quite a bit worse off than you have been a year ago.
Certainly some good news when it comes to what this data shows when it comes to job creation. But there's more good news when it comes to the BankservAfrica Private Pensions Index, which showed that the average nominal private pension reached 10,000 rand per month for the first time. What are we measuring here, and what does this data mean?
Okay, here's quite interesting data that Bankserv records the total value of pension payments and then divided by the total number of payments to give us an average pension payout on a monthly basis. And we've been quite surprised to see that actually the pension fund payments have held up quite well compared to the wage side. So it's income of a different nature, but we've seen actually that those levels have increased in nominal terms and actually even in real terms have remained, in positive territory. So it seems like the people receiving their private pensions are doing not so bad if you compare to the impact of inflation on the wages side. These data, I must just add, exclude any of the SASSA payments or the special relief of distress grant payments. So it is the actual, I would say, private pension that's reflected here.
Elize Kruger, thank you very much for your time. She is, of course, an independent economist, quite well versed on the latest salaries data that came out from BankservAfrica.